I say we just run right in. We got two long movies to get through. So we'll just rush right in, if that sounds good to you guys.
Wait, what's the other long movie?
Well, you saw it because we're doing
The Odyssey.
We're doing
Oh, we're talking about the Odyssey too? Okay.
Yeah.
No, I can do that. You don't have to, I don't need no prep. I didn't realize that. That's great. In fact, had so many Odyssey points here that it was going to turn into that anyway.
Yeah.
Even if it was just a Troy podcast.
Yeah, I feel like Troy can be like the main discussion, but then
that's kind of
we can kind of go in and out of the Odyssey as well, I think.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was thinking. Yeah, Troy's the focal point because that was the one that you brought in. But hello, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is ThereWillBeDuds, episode 216, and I am your co-host TJ. And with me, as always,
I am Nick, and as frequently, we are once again joined by Professor Josh Matthews, learning about movies. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks, guys. I'm sorry to make you suffer through this if you felt like you suffered, because I think I picked this, or I suggested it to TJ. And he said, but the Odyssey is hot now. Wouldn't it be nice to try Troy out or remind ourselves of Troy or whatever,
I like the idea of pairing it with it makes sense. I may have watched this one anyways, just as like a lead-in. I don't know. But good to have you back. It has been a minute.
Thank you.
Since the last one.
Summertime, got some time to mess around, so I'm glad to be here, guys. Thanks.
Yeah. And yeah, as we said, Josh did recommend the movie for this week, and that movie is Troy from 2004, directed by Wolfgang Petersen. It is it's not just the Iliad. The Iliad is a part of it. A lot of people think that it's just this is what the Iliad is, but it's a retelling of the Trojan War as a whole, basically from start to finish, focusing primarily on, a lot of the key players, but I guess I would say if there's a main character, it's Achilles. But you get focus on both sides of the wall, as it were, I guess. Usually I start with asking the guests why they picked it, but we kind of established it was just kind of like a foregone, we got, the Odyssey's coming out. We were all going to see that anyways. So, and they're appearing the Odyssey is a sequel.
It's a hot 3,000-year-old IP.
Yeah. I'm just at a loss for how amazingly. The marketing campaign must have been amazing for this, just to get people. I know people who drove 3 hours to an IMAX theater. That just can't.
For Odyssey.
Yeah, the Odyssey.
Yeah.
So then, I think I'd only seen part of Troy. I'd never had seen the whole thing.
Oh.
I really?
Okay.
I realized while watching it, I'd never seen this whole thing, so it was nice to have tried it from a director, Wolfgang Petersen, who has some good movies, in my opinion.
Yeah, of course, Das Boot is great.
I think I remember when this came out, but it was 2004, so I was pretty young. So I think the thing I remember the most is like the poster, like the bronze Brad Pitt poster. I think that's like the thing. Like I remember seeing it on the wall in the theater while going to see probably I don't know, a Harry Potter movie or something. Probably. Oh yeah, he did that Never-Ending Story too. I was like, I know he's done something else. I know. Yeah, he's actually he's quite a few. Perfect Storm.
He did the Perfect Storm before this, I believe, which is quite a different movie. In so many ways.
Very, very different. Yeah. He has an interesting filmography. I kind of forget. Bicentennial Man.
What?
That's an interesting
one. I
Outbreak.
definitely saw that.
Oh, Das Boot is his first movie. Wow. That's impressive. That's really impressive, actually, that was his first movie. Anyways, yeah. So I'm kind of I'm on the other side of the coin from you guys because I've seen this a bunch of times because I watched this a lot when I was a kid. When I was like, I don't know when I first saw this, but I was like big into. I mean, I was, still am, I guess, to a degree, but like really big into like Greek and Roman mythology when I was a kid. And yeah, it's still a focus that I like nowadays. It's just that was when I was like discovering and reading all the stories anew, and like this was kind of, I don't know, was this as far as like that stuff. There was like this. There was an Odyssey mini series with Armand Assante, yep. But there wasn't a whole lot of like kind of bigger budgeted like, movie or TV versions of like Greek mythology stuff, because a lot of it is like they're like fables. It's not a lot of it lends itself to like full like feature length adaptations. So I think that could be why like the Iliad and the Odyssey are so focused on, is because they are more like full longer stories, whereas the other ones are more just like Aesop's fables type like short stories. So yeah, I'm very familiar with this one, and I watched since I'd seen it so many times, I had it on DVD. I'd never seen the director's cut, so I decided to watch that for this one. So that was it was my first time watching the director's cut. Do you know which one you watched for this?
I believe I watched the theatrical it's free on YouTube now. So I think the theatrical is on YouTube.
Yes,
and
I do believe
I know this because there's an Odysseus intro scene that I saw online somewhere. It's not in the one I saw.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
The first time you see Odysseus is when he goes up to Achilles and tries to talk him into going to the war, I think. Yeah. Yes, and that's in the theatrical cut. So the theatrical is like 2 hours 40 minutes. I remember correctly. Oh, I don't know the director's cut. Is it much longer?
It's like another half hour. It's like 3:15.
I went out, so I like to go to my local, there's like a disc replay store where it's just like, bunch of movies, buy 5, get 1 free type deal. And I was like, I'll go out there, I'll see if I can find Troy. And I did manage to find it, and it is the director's cut. But it is one of those old school Blu-rays that when you pop it in, there's no menu and it just immediately starts. And there was no option to watch the theatrical or director's cut. It was just the director's cut. So I was basically, I guess I could have like found the theatrical cut online, but I was like, you know what? I guess I've made this bet. I'll watch the director's cut. And that was 3 hours and 16 minutes.
Whoa.
And I think the only thing it really adds is you get to see more of the sack of Troy, which is much more brutal apparently than the theatrical cut.
Yes.
And you see Diane Kruger's boobs in like that. There's like a sex scene where like she like reveals like off her top, and like I think so it's like literally those two things. It's like literally sex and violence are the two things that they, and like that's the director's vision.
Yeah. It comes off more as like an unrated cut than a director's cut.
Well, for people, what do you recommend watching? Because for example, I'm told that Kingdom of Heaven by Ridley Scott, the director's cut is so amazing, theatrical is terrible. Or I don't know if that's true. I've never seen both of them, but maybe this has the same thing going on or not. The director's cut just bloated.
Well, it's been a while since I've seen the theatrical, but I think I'm the only one that has seen both of them. I guess both versions. From memory, though, I would say that I prefer the theatrical, partly because it's shorter, and I feel like most of what I was explaining it to Nick. I think I was explaining it to you, Nick, the other day, that it's like the theatrical cut is more like, the director's cut. It's like the Lord of the Rings extended cuts, which I do love, and that is like the only way that I watch those movies is the extended cuts. But it is like, it's all fluff. It's not. It does not make the movie like. It doesn't necessarily. It's more just like if you like this and you like the characters and you like living in this world and you just want more of it, That's what the Lord of the Rings extended cuts are, and that's what I love. And this is like that where it's like, you know, you get the Odysseus scene. It's not super important. It, you know, you make do with his introduction in the theatrical cut. Fine, you're like you know who he is and all that. But you know, it's like, oh, but if you want a little extra character moment with Odysseus, you can see that in the director's cut. If you want some more boobs, if you want people like throwing babies into walls, you get a lot of that in the director's cut. Yeah, really? That was I remember they do it like 2 or 3 times, and I was like instantly, I was like, oh, that's new. I was like, that's not in the theatrical cut. I was like, holy shit.
Like, at least 2 people get like thrown from a building and just like hung by the neck in the Sack of Troy. It's like it's gratuitous. It's like they like get pushed off, and it's like I referenced this the other night, but the death in Tarzan at the end when like you see a silhouette hanging. It's like it's brutal. It's pretty brutal.
And that could be seen as like just going over the top of the violence, and you know, because it's a big movie and you want to it's American and it's got to be big and bloody and violent, or is it like, and like, yeah, well they won, but they are kind of like also bad, and like this is what it was like back then when cities were sacked. It wasn't pretty, it wasn't nice. Where like I'll invoke the Odyssey for the first time, I guess, like the movie. There's a part, I think it's like one of the first islands they stop at in that, and there's like a village with like some of the huts burning, and they're like questioning some of the villagers. And I think what they say is that like they did, like the villagers did that. They like burned their houses because they knew that they were coming to leave. And like they totally skirt around all the like pillaging, because like that's what Odysseus and his men like did on their way home, is they would like raid villages and like steal people's, like, because they needed to live or whatever. And that's like how it was. So it is a bit more sanitized because in that sense, like, how do you just, old Greek myths do not translate to like modern sensibilities, as far as like, Odysseus is the hero of that story, and yet he like raids and pillages like people's homes.
How do I make a hero's journey out of a guy who like kills women and children? How do I this isn't like a Marvel superhero movie, and it's like, if you do that, I feel like people are going to be like, well, no one here is good. There's no good guy in this. And again, I'll also invoke the Odyssey. That's like a thing that they do near the end of the Nolan Odyssey, is that like they show you the movie starts with like the Trojan horse, and it shows them kind of getting into the city, and then they're like, they open the gate, and then everyone floods in, and I think you're supposed to be like, hell yeah, that's badass. That's like really cool. Like Agamemnon walks through, and he's like all he walks in like Darth Vader. Like he kind of like walks in to the gate, and but then it like cuts after like they all kind of swarm in, and then later on in the movie you see more of it, and then you see like villagers and women and children getting killed. And I think the Nolan Odyssey is basically trying to tell you that I feel like they're trying to like make Matt Damon convince you that he's like regretful of it, of like regretful of how it, which is kind of funny when like you talk about like the Greek story, where it's just like Troy really wasn't any different than probably any other place, where he just like shows up, burns everything, steals everything, kills everyone, and leaves. It's like, I don't know.
I do think
did he really feel that bad about it?
I do think it was different in the sense that it's like the Sack of Troy is like the release of a decade of tension, where these guys are just sitting outside this city for years, just getting nothing, just waiting and waiting to be able to like breach this or like, you know, end this war, and then finally they just like let it all out. Whereas like the pillaging is more for like, I think that's more emotionless, because they're just, to them it's just like that's how they survive.
Sure.
I'm not that, because that's just kind of what it was like in the day, I guess. Whereas I think the Sack of Troy is more like they were like angry. They wanted to do some shit to those people.
Yeah, you see that in a Troy movie where it's you kill my friend, I kill your friend.
Mm-hmm.
Revenge in that for a while in the movie. The movie is quite a bit about Achilles going off and killing because of his legacy is going to be remembered for a trillion years or something. Then, but then in the middle of the movie, when his cousin Patroclus is killed, then he's going to have his revenge. And that, I don't know what to think of that. I think it's supposed to be kind of cool in the movie, or part of the lifestyle, let's say, of. Whereas Nolan is pretty moralistic. I mean, I think you're dead on. It's all about the regret of going to Troy and killing all those people. Definitely not in the original poems at all. But
Yeah.
I actually want to pick on a bunch of things. Can I have one thing that
Please.
I'm really curious.
Oh, yeah.
So, I've read this on the internet, so this is all allegedly. Nolan has said, allegedly, that... no, I think I saw it in an interview. He dreamed of the Trojan horse on a beach. And that's why in his movie, it's kind of half buried in the beach, and then they have to drag it back into the city.
Okay.
How much in Troy, the Trojan horse is on a beach? I mean, am I wrong? I mean, I feel like this is not something new here, and he's claimed it was in a dream, I think, but it's actually in the movie Troy. Which, I mean, no matter what, I have a problem with the Trojan horse being on a beach and them dragging it into the city. It doesn't... I mean, the Trojan horse story is just kind of dumb fun anyway. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but I don't understand him thinking he was original in that way. But anyway, that's...
See,
I was surprised to see it in Troy, is what I'm telling you.
Well, that's the thing, is like, I am not really familiar with the story. Like, I'm pretty sure I Sparks notes it in high school. I definitely like I was a terrible student in that regard, but like seeing it happen in the Odyssey and Troy, I just assumed that that's how it was. But do they roll it up to the gate?
Yeah,
is that what happens?
Most depictions are it's like rolled up to the city gate, just sitting there, and then there's one person going, "This is the gift they left you for being so awesome at fighting," and they just ditched Troy, and here you go, here's a fun gift. So it's right next to the door of sort of the city gate or whatever.
Yeah, that is crazy that it happens in both adaptations, because I just assumed that that's how it goes.
I don't know what the original is because that's not part of the Iliad.
Right.
The Iliad ends after Hector's funeral. That's where that ends. So you don't even get the sack of Troy. You don't get Achilles, his death. You don't get like any of that ending. So I actually don't know like what because there is a different author from back then did write like, you know, the ending in like a different story to see what it's. Yeah,
they're always writing and reinterpreting that to some extent, but visual depictions I think tend to be outside the gates. Anyway, that's all to say. I feel like then Nolan mostly is avoiding what this movie does, which is great. Like on the heels of Lord of the Rings epics, this Troy movie, huge vistas, long shots, battle sequences, or armies marching, and CGI, scores of CGI, and then Mediterranean settings that I would expect. Whereas Nolan doesn't do any of that. It's all. I mean, that was one of my main complaints. Is it's all kind of like Great Britain, or I said Denmark in my write-up. I mean, it just looks like Northern Europe to me, mostly. And he doesn't sort of celebrate the kind of awesome views of Greece or wherever, Troy or wherever. It doesn't look like this movie at all. Or Troy doesn't look like the Odyssey, vice versa.
Yeah, even when I did think about that, like I was thinking of the movie Troy, which like Troy is supposed to have these, you know, these great walls. It's impenetrable. And then like when you see the outside of Troy in the Odyssey, they're like, it's like 10 feet tall.
Right.
It's like, that's not, it needs to be like, it needs to be tall. Like that's the whole reason that it's impenetrable, is because it's like so high that nobody could like, you know, get up it or get around it or whatever. It doesn't work if it's like just a normal wall. So I thought that was a little strange.
Well, and then in Nolan's, I felt like there's like a couple hundred guys invading Troy, whereas it's giant armies basically in Troy. It just felt kind of small and contained in Nolan's for whatever. Kinda, I think because it was all being realistic and using real people, extras. I don't know that he even used CGI to put extra people in there.
I don't know.
It didn't seem that way, at least when I watched it.
Yeah, no, it seemed. I know he likes his practical effects too. Like he doesn't like to use CGI. You know, he like as little as possible. Generally, you know, that's his bag.
Yeah, not even like the sort of like green screen like set extensions that they'll do, where like they'll set up like the big green screen walls and then like they'll just sort of enhance. Like I don't know. They could have easily done that with Troy. I feel like pick a real place, go to a real place, and then I don't know. Yeah, just make it like kind of like they do with like Lord of the Rings. I feel like in Lord of the Rings there are some places that are like real places or like real castles or whatever, and they just sort of like use, you know, some decent CG to like enhance it, but to not make it look too insane that it's obvious that it's CGI. Right. Like I feel like a lot of the locales in Lord of the Rings look pretty damn good, even though I know most of them are like either entirely fabricated or enhanced in that way. Yeah. It's weird to try to make the Odyssey, which is like this grand epic, like minimalist. It feels like sort of that's kind of the way.
Totally.
Like shrinking the story down to like 150 guys. You know,
and like most of the art that I'm familiar with, like Cersei's palace, looks kind of opulent, and Calypso's island in the poem and other depictions is like. This is a cornucopia. This is the greatest place you could be.
I thought that was
it's
so
kind of
weird.
A barren
that it's
beach.
Like a desert.
In Nolan,
what was that? It was so strange. Because, like, that's the whole... There were some, like, visual changes that I was more... Like, I wasn't, you know, with how they did Cersei, it was, like, a quick thing. And I was like, okay, I'm okay with them kind of changing her to, like, a witch that lives in, like, a hut sort of thing. But, yeah, like, they still did... the stuff with Calypso more or less the straight. They kind of mixed her with the Lotus Eaters because they had them eat the lotuses on her island, and that's like a separate thing in the Odyssey. But yeah, it's just like a deserted beach. It's supposed to be like enticing and like one that's like part of like that showing how much he like, you know, wants to get home as he like wants to give all this up. It's like he keeps saying like I love it here, I want to stay here with you in the movie. It's like, why? Like it sucks. You guys have to
she just feeds him drugs. She's like a drug pusher on a beach. Right?
Yeah
some kind. Anyway, the minimalism was I wondered if it was an IMAX thing actually, because that was so important to him to film it on IMAX with IMAX footage, that it then probably cut down what he could do. Also, then he's on
possibly
get on time, his budgets, he keeps within the budget, all that stuff. I don't know.
I mean that shit is expensive. That 70 mils is expensive. Yeah, I just want to add on the flip side of like the stuff that he changed, and that is like weird that they changed it. In my eyes, he nailed Ithaca. Like how Ithaca looks in the Nolan Odyssey, that is like exactly how I picture it in my head.
Yeah.
Like his palace where like all the suitors are, and just like the look of the island, that is like always how I've pictured it in my head. So that was really cool. Like he really nailed that. But then yeah, most everything else was just kind of differing levels of like. I mean, Polyphemus's island was also very like basic, and I don't know. I was not really happy with how they did Polyphemus.
Yeah, I don't know that it doesn't have to be a copy of the poem, but Ithaca is a rocky dump in the poem, and then Odysseus visits these other cool places, and the thing is he's enticed to stay there versus going home, which obviously the poem is partly about that desire to go home at all costs. But yeah, then all those locales look pretty similar to me in the Odyssey.
Yes. Yeah, that's what kind of, yeah. I would totally agree with that. It's almost like they go to see the Cyclops and then they leave and they just sail around to the other side of the island and they're at Circe's Island now, and then they swim to like the North Shore and now they're at Calypso's or whatever.
Yeah. So then you get to Troy 20 years earlier, and my thought was, well, Troy, if as boring as this movie was in many parts, there's a lot of talking. At least you're right. They get Troy. This is kind of a cool looking city in this, I thought.
The inside, yeah.
And the whole vista, well, the outside too, the whole vista, the walls, and how they dealt with the inside.
Which one are we talking about now?
Troy. I'm talking about Troy, the movie Troy.
Oh, yes. Okay, then yes.
The city there looks like it looks like a citadel, which needs to be, it's hard to assault, as you said.
Imposing and yeah, that's way more like how I feel like it should look if like the whole thing is, that it's impenetrable. It'd be like if they did like a Noah's Ark movie and it was just like a schooner or something. Yeah. That'd be the Nolan
This is an arcane point for you. I mean, but one thing is Nolan's going, there's this Bronze Age, we're going to fall out of it because the sea people is going to attack, right? So our age right now is actually, there's some wealth to it in certain parts. And that movie had no places that look like the city of Troy in the movie Troy, which is what I wanted to some extent.
Yeah, that whole reveal in the Odyssey where they're like, "Oh, we're the sea people." It felt so flat to me.
I hated that. Okay, that's one of my least favorite things about it. But anyway, yes.
Yeah.
You're not.
It was
by the way, they're
so
not the sea
weird.
people because they kept failing. It's one of those Nolan things where guys keep running away from things on the land or run to the ships and run away as fast as you can, Dunkirk style.
It was literally
Every
like
time.
Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Like they'd run onto an island and then he'd go, "Run away!" There's literally the part like when they're in Hades and he's like, "Let's go!" Like he literally is like, "Let's get out of here."
Now I'm imagining the
Hades.
scene where they're fighting the giants and like all the giants are walking towards them and they're just like, nee.
Yeah.
But yet Nolan is so humorless. He doesn't have any.
Yeah.
He's quoting it in a way, but he's not trying to be funny at all. There's like no humorous parts to that.
Yeah.
I have another question for you, and this is another. I have a couple stupid ones later because I know you like this, but Brad Pitt and Troy. What do you think?
What accent do you think he's doing?
Go home, Prince. Drink some wine, make love to your wife. Tomorrow we'll have our war.
You speak of war as if it's a game. But how many wives wait at Troy's gates for husbands they'll never see again?
Perhaps your brother can comfort them. I hear he's good at charming other men's wives.
It's almost like they're doing instead of transatlantic, they're all doing trans-Mediterranean accents.
It's like pick your accent. If you're Irish, stay Irish. If you're like English,
Brendan Gleeson was hilarious because like that's just a Scottish guy.
His accent, was Brian Cox. I think was like American, even though he's Scottish. I thought that was so weird.
Yeah, that's
that
great.
like they play brothers, and Brendan Gleeson gets to be Irish, but they're like, no, Brian Cox. Nobody can fucking understand you, so you gotta be American. I mean, I think he's American with that twinge, kind of like how everyone else is like sort of British, kind of.
Yeah.
Eric Bana couldn't be Australian; he had to be British. It was strange. I don't know if I think like any of the acting is like great in this movie.
Even though the cast is unbelievable. Go through it, and at one point I'm like, "Oh, there's Julie Christie is Brad Pitt's mom." And what?
I know, and she's in like one scene, yeah.
And I gamble, and then Peter O'Toole shows up, and Brendan Gleeson and Brian. You already mentioned those guys. Goes on and on. I think, wow, it seems like more of a heavy hitting cast than the Odyssey had for sure. Look, Ross.
Yeah. now that I think about it, maybe I would like when I said that, like, I don't know if anybody does like a good, well, I said a great job, and maybe I'd still say that, but like, I mean, for what they are, I think like Brendan Gleeson and Brian Cox, like they play good villains, I guess. So maybe they're like the best of the bunch. They're reliable, they're very smarmy and shitty.
Yeah,
maybe
and
Eric
like Brian
Bana,
Cox.
he does his job,
Yeah, Brian Cox seems like a guy who is like theatrically trained, so like doing like a movie adaptation of an epic poem seems like something that would be up his alley. So Brian Cox, I feel like, chews up the scenery whenever he's in there. Like, yeah, he's really enjoying playing a bad guy because I think he's good at doing that.
So you're taking Brian Cox as Agamemnon over Benny Safdie in a Darth Vader helmet for the Odyssey. Is that correct?
Yeah, I probably would.
Yeah. Well, it's I mean, it's like, I feel like Benny Safdie, it's kind of a nothing character, really. There's no characterization really at all.
It's one of those Nolan things where you put a mask on a person, you don't even know who they are. And it should have been Tom Hardy, but for that reason.
Oh, that would have been cool.
Oh, yeah.
That would have been cool. I like the presentation of Agamemnon in the Odyssey as like almost like he's like a god. Like that's how I think it's supposed to be. Like how, I think the only time he actually speaks is when he's in Hades, and other than that, he just walks in the scene, and it's like the soundtrack like lowers, and it's like everything is like, looking up to him, and it really like exalts his position because he was like the leader of the Mycenaeans. He was the leader of like this huge coalition he was like the king of kings of that area at the time. So it's like, yeah, he is like big chief shit. So I like that how he's presented there. But I mean, as far as like the performance or whatever, yeah, there's not much to him.
There's nothing.
I would maybe tip it to Brian Cox because at least he's fun.
Nothing unifies a people like a common enemy.
The Nolan Odyssey Agamemnon should be your Halloween costume.
That'd be sick.
You will command the room. But Brad Pitt, I'm still on this one. I feel like, for me, he's absolutely terrible in this. I just can't take him. I've seen him so often as the Fight Club guy, 12 Monkeys guy, Ocean's movies. I mean, he's happy-go-lucky. He can be charming. He can be fun-loving, and he's leaning. I read on the line that he did not like this movie, or he was forced to do it, something like that. So the claim is he's mailing it in. That's what I feel like. I just don't. I don't. But did you feel that way or not?
Well, it's funny that you mention all those roles, because in most of those roles, he's playing someone who's like very confident and smarmy, but also like very cocksure, and it's like all of those attributes should be in Achilles. That should be. I mean, obviously, I haven't read the books or the poems, so I'm like, there could be characterizations that I don't know, but seeing like the way that like you're going to be remembered forever, and that desire to be the desire to be remembered, it's like it should have been like a slam dunk with Brad Pitt, because like those are like most of the characters that he plays, and yet for some reason he doesn't really turn it on in this.
He is definitely cocksure, I would say that, but there's no room for like the sort of like levity or whatever that needs to come with it, or it's all like very self-serious. But I don't know if it's like just because I call it, I don't know if it's nostalgia from like, I don't know, it's just I've seen this so much, I'm so familiar with it that like it's like, despite not like I don't hate the acting, because I just kind of view the entire movie as like it's like a big budget, like very bloody and very sweaty, like daytime soap opera. Like the way that the characters interact and talk to each other, it's so melodramatic.
You have nailed it. That's my point. It's a soap opera. the whole way through.
It very much is.
With
like, so
the shots
much.
of a soap opera, over the shoulder, talk. It's almost all the way through. Yeah, so
and it's
then
all
Brad
just
Pitt
family
is
drama
playing a soap opera character. Is that where you're going here?
yeah, and I guess that's what I'm like, and kind of leaning into like Brian Cox and Brendan Gleeson. It's like, no, they wouldn't really work. Their characters wouldn't really work in a movie as serious as like the Odyssey. But I think they work in this because it is a melodramatic. It's like self-serious, but also I feel like there is a bit of like cheekiness to it. Like, I don't think like Wolfgang Peterson thought he was making like the most serious like historical epic ever, like Gladiator or something. I think I feel like he knew that this was a little silly. And I think like viewing it like that, and if you can like, I mean, I guess if you don't like that, then you don't like that. But if you have that mindset in mind and you're like open to it, like I you know, I like it. I like the, so like I'm not like, I'm agreeing with everything you're saying, but I'm saying that I'm leaning into that and being like, I'm okay with that.
Wait, you fool. Listen to me. Do you know what you've done? Do you know how many years our father worked for peace? I love her. It's all a game to you, isn't it? You roam from town to town, betting merchants' wives and temple maids, and you think you know something about love. What about your father's love? You spat on him when you brought her on this ship.
How about Matt Damon then, as Odysseus? Which I took my 3 oldest children to this, the Odyssey. And that was one of the burning things. Who would have done better in Matt Damon as Odysseus than Matt Damon? And then, of course, 2 of my boys love Christian Bale. So it comes up instantly, and I had to tell them, Bale turned down the role, guys. But Matt
Did he
Damon,
offer it to him? I didn't know that.
Well, that's what another thing that I read was DiCaprio. This is what Matt Damon said, was DiCaprio and Bale, I think somebody else, maybe Matthew McConaughey, were offered and they turned it down. Then Damon was like 4th stringer or something. So then Damon is Odysseus. And now I watch Troy, and Sean Bean is Odysseus with a very interesting perm mullet kind of thing going on.
I know, yeah, it's a full,
yeah.
But once again, it goes to Nolan's relative humorlessness. Odysseus is such a BS talker in the story, and that's one of his attributes, to be able to deceive people with words and spin wild tales, and being an entertaining person to chat with, even if he's trying to screw you over with his words. There's none of that with Matt Damon. It is what it is. I don't know. People really like him in this. Of course, the movie's making a ton of money. But then I saw Sean Bean, and I thought, man, what if he were doing that? I don't know. That was my dream. Who else could have done it? Or did you find Damon to be okay in the Nolan Odyssey?
I also prefer Sean Bean over, and I think he can do like mix his, like, somewhere in between his version of Odysseus and Eddard Stark from Game of Thrones, which is a little bit more serious, and like that could have like fit. I think he totally could have worked in the Nolan one. And yeah, because I agree, like he is like, he's just, there's like I don't know, I'm a weird way about like adaptations, because like I don't think that something has to be like exactly like the source material, especially when it's shit that's like this old. But it's like, so like that's why, like, in a way I kind of prefer like how Troy, like, I know a big criticism against Troy is how it's like it changes so much stuff, like characters and like just plot. It changes so much. But then I watched that, I'm like, yeah, but whatever. Then it's that, to me, then it's like there's less for me to criticize, because I'm like, yeah, it is different and whatever. Whereas like the Odyssey feels like it's trying to be a more faithful adaptation, and because of that, I noticed the like inconsistencies more. Whereas Troy is like not trying to be accurate, so I'm like, well, I could point out the inconsistencies, but what's the point? They don't care. And like the Odyssey, it's like, yeah, like Odysseus doesn't even like seem like a great like leader. Like the whole time he's just so like well, I don't want to say melancholy because obviously he's melancholy, but like, God, I was working today and I walked into the theater at a scene in particular, but I can't remember what. But oh, yeah, it was after they leave the island with the Cyclops, and Eurylochus is like, why did you shoot that thing in the eye? And he's like, oh, it ate some of our men. And he's like, yeah. And then Eurylochus is like, yeah, and he just ate more of them because you shot him in the eye. And then he like doesn't really have a response to that. He's just like, well, whatever. Like he just kind of like sulks, and I'm like, he's right though. Like, you're Odysseus. You're supposed to be the smart one. You're supposed to have all the answers. And like, yeah, why did you do that? Because there is more to it in this. Like, there is more to their interaction in the whole thing with Polyphemus, like in the poems. But in this, it really simplifies it and takes out any characterization of Polyphemus. They're like, oh yeah, well, he's talking to Poseidon, but like to us, he's just like a lumbering monster.
Yeah.
And I think that just makes that whole sequence I found very boring in the movie.
I found in the Nolan Odyssey, correct me if I'm wrong, watching it, the Cyclops scene is Nolan doing Return of the Jedi, Luke and the Rancor. All over
I had
again.
the same thought. No, there was a couple moments in particular.
It's a big dumb thing that's munching on people, but again, like, it has to be somewhat. Polyphemus is Poseidon's son, and Poseidon is going to be ticked, and the whole point of the Odyssey is that very problem. So, but yet it was too much of a Rancor, big dumb monster munching on people for me to accept as the whole key to the story, and why they were wondering so long.
Yeah. And they just like brush over it. It's so strange.
They leave it to exposition. A lot of like, it's just they just tell us who he is and what just in one big block of text. And I didn't really love that.
Yeah, because then you have the other. It's a different crewmate where he's like, oh, that was Poseidon's son. He was crying out to him, and now we're cursed. And it's like, oh. Okay, but it's just it would be more entertaining if they had like the conversation with Polyphemus and like he was the one that's like, I'm gonna curse you, and like, but it's just not as fun.
And they could have easily done that. I mean, the way that scene works is that he's like sort of lurking in the darkness, and they don't know where he's at. They're like in his domain. And it's like you catch glimpses of him moving around, and like there's like the scene where he like grabs one of the guys and pulls him into the darkness. You could have easily had them, huddled around the fire while the Cyclops is like, kind of giving you the exposition dump you get later there from him instead of some other character just sort of telling you. Yeah. Like, and I feel like that could have been very effective because that whole scene, I just felt bad for the Cyclops. He had a bunch of sheep. He was tending the sheep. He was like making cheese. Like clearly he's like intelligent. It's not like he was just like killing the sheep for no reason. Like he's a big lumbering moron. Like clearly there's something else there. Like he has a routine. And so I don't know. I feel like if you would have heard him talk to them and explain like the severity of what they've done, I don't know. I feel like that could have been done easily, and then you could have given a little bit more characterization to the Cyclops as well.
It's too much. The movie is too like declarative, where it's like characters will just say stuff, and then you're like, okay, I guess that's the reality, and we're just not supposed to question it. Because like, there's a part which I quoted in my at the start of my review where they're like, oh, he's talking to. He's like huddled in the corner and you can like hear him like whispering or whatever, and they're like, he's talking, and he's like, that thing can talk? Why hasn't it talked before? And then Odysseus is like, would you talk to ants? And immediately I looked at Kalia and I was like, yeah, I do. I do talk to ants. I do talk to animals. I talk to bugs.
Absolutely,
Of course.
right? Humans do talk to, yeah. So can I ask you then, I'm getting a sense that you guys are like, I don't know exactly where, but you don't love the Odyssey. It's okay, maybe, but you've got concerns, problems.
Yeah.
Is that right? Is that where you're at?
Yeah. Thinking back on it and talking about it now, because I haven't talked about it much since I saw it with anybody. I'm like, maybe I liked it even less than I thought, but at the time I was still kind of in that air of like, I just got to see it on like the biggest screen ever. That was, just kind of being caught up in the moment. It's hard to like, deny that sort of wow factor of like, it's cool. It's cool seeing it, in that huge, on that huge, immense scale. It's impressive. It's Christopher Nolan, so it's like, it's well crafted, like, the stuff looks good if, again, like a little samey. But yeah, like the more and more I think about it, the more like kind of lukewarm I am on it, which is a bummer. He's had some like misses for me, but he's definitely more hit than miss for me. And I guess I don't really know what I was expecting going into this, being like, so familiar with the source material. But I think a big reason for my my muted response, I guess, is that maybe it is just because I am so familiar with it is like a problem. Like I've already seen a few adaptations. I've read the poem a couple times and studied it in class. It's like I know this thing like inside and out, and as impressive on a scale sense as this was, it was just like, yeah, I'm just kind of seeing it again. I've seen this before, and I don't know if it does anything again other than like, yes, the budget and the everything looks cool. They nailed Ithaca, like I said, I give them that. But like I don't know if there's anything that they do in this that like I think is better than any other version if you're taking out the the big budget look of it. It's the most impressive looking, but that's about it. Like it glosses over stuff like the curse, like how they end up in the situation. It glosses over Argos, which in a sense I'm not too beat up about, because if they had done Argos more like justice, I probably would have been like weeping, because that's like the saddest fucking character in literature. Like he's so sad. And he's just like, but in this, Matt Damon just shows up and he's like, good dog, bury him up on the cliff, will ya? So in a sense I'm okay that they kind of gloss over Argos in this, because I don't like being sad. I don't know. I was just rambling there. I don't know where I was going.
I think I was definitely taken in by the sheer spectacle of seeing it in the 70mm IMAX, and I think all of the practical stuff for me was like extremely impressive. The story stuff, like being faithful, didn't really mean much to me because I have not read it, so I don't really have that to like cross-reference it with. I think the thing that I run into is like I sort of feel about Nolan the way that some people feel about like later era like Wes Anderson movies, where like I feel like there's a certain point in like Wes Anderson's career where he becomes more formal than like emotive, I guess. Like I feel like if you watch like his early stuff, like Bottle Rocket, Rushmore, Royal Tenenbaums, Darjeeling Limited, Life Aquatic, you kind of have these string of movies that have a certain look and symmetry to them, but there's like an emotional core to the characters underneath. And then later on, I still enjoy his like later work, but it definitely does feel more like he's like playing with pastel dolls and like everything is like very perfectly set up. And I kind of feel that way with Nolan, where I feel like he gets to a point where it's like, and I think other people have used this expression before, but it feels more like he's like solving a math problem than making like a movie that has like an emotional core to it, where like none of the performances in this really like particularly wowed me at all. I liked Robert Pattinson's character. I think Robert Pattinson plays a good smarmy dickhead, and I think he did that well. But like there's a scene where it's like Tom Holland and John Leguizamo, and they're literally just, I feel like they're doing like that soap opera like back and forth like shot reverse shot where they're just like doing exposition dumps, and I'm like, what is this? What are we doing here? Yeah. It felt so stale and wooden, and like I was not convinced that I don't know, this is like the first real Tom Holland thing I've ever seen. I didn't think he was very good in this. I didn't think he was very convincing as Telemachus. Like I was not into it.
I don't think that that's like his fault in particular, though. I think it is more like the writing or maybe the directing, because I kind of feel like everybody was stiff. Like nobody. Yeah. Everybody felt so like soulless. They just felt like they were like there and like stiffly delivering their lines. Like if I had to pick like a standout, I would maybe say Eurylochus. I feel like he was the most emotive character in the whole movie. Who?
I thought Cersei.
Oh yeah, she was good. Yes, she was good. That scene was probably like the best scene in the whole movie. Like how she was like literally like sculpting them like clay into the pigs. That was I really liked.
Yeah, that was the standout.
Like showing that how that that was really, really cool. Yes. But like for instance, like so much of the dialogue is like expository, but it's also like it felt the most for Nolan. I feel like he's generally a little better at like so many of his movies, like Inception, the first like 40 minutes of that is just like explaining the concept of what the rest of the movie is going to be, right? Because it's so like it's such a weird not like novel concept. Is like, okay, this is what it is, we do this, but he finds ways to like make it dynamic and interesting,
And Hardy is great in that. DiCaprio is all in, et cetera, et cetera. And I think you're right.
Yeah, that too.
Pretty wooden.
The characters are more memorable, right? Totally. They're more like characters.
Yeah, Hardy.
But like, this setting
that.
is.
I mean,
he does.
Joseph
He's great.
Gordon-Levitt is great in that. I mean, Marion. How do you say her name?
Cotillard.
Cotillard.
Yeah. So it's funny because like Tenet, when I saw Tenet, I couldn't stand that movie, but it has that line early on, like "Don't think, feel" or something like that. Just let go and feel things, and it's almost in the Odyssey too, where Odysseus at one point says, I forget what they ask him, but then he says, "I don't know, I feel," and I think it's the same kind of thing where he's actually telling us to feel something, instead of actually having it happen. In some way, shape, or form.
You gotta make me feel something.
Yeah,
give me something to feel.
yeah. And I don't know, that's a failing when I think about it all of the casting and Damon not quite right, but couldn't get anybody else. I don't know. I felt I would have been stronger totally in Troy for those characters than I did in the Odyssey for sure.
I did too. Yes, 100%. I was gonna say I would have been totally cool if he just make Cillian Murphy the lead character again. I think he could have worked as Odysseus. And I like Cillian Murphy too. I don't know.
Yeah,
been interesting. No, what I was gonna say with like the how I feel like he's usually better at delivering this like expository dialogue, whereas in this it's so stilted and like treating the audience dumber than I feel like he normally does. Like, and the example that is coming to mind right now is again when Argos dies. You see like Odysseus is following Telemachus, and then he like sees Argos and he leans down and he pets him, and you see the dog's tail wag, and then you see Telemachus look at it, and I feel like that is like a visual indicator of like, oh, Telemachus sees that Argos recognizes this guy. This guy is my father. And you kind of see that in like, you know, POV shot, tail wagging, POV shot of Odysseus, shot of Telemachus like reacting to this. He's like, you see that he's like, oh, he just made this realization. But you can't just do that. You have to have him go, you're Odysseus, you're my father. Like he had to say both of those things. He had to remind us that, yes, he, just so you know, he knows that that's Odysseus, and just in case you forgot, that's his dad. They had to say both of those things. And then the scene ends with Telemachus saying like, welcome home. I'm like, he should have just said that instead of saying like, you're Odysseus, you're my father. When Odysseus stands up, and they should have just made eye contact, and he should have just said, welcome home. And you get it. You would understand from that exchange. But there were other moments that I can't remember as clearly, but that were like equally as bad. Like, oh, this is Menelaus, brother of Agamemnon, and this is his wife, Helen of Troy. And it wasn't like, that kind of sounds like a court speaker like introducing them, but it wasn't that. I think it was Eumaeus or whoever went with him. I don't remember if John Leguizamo went with him. But it was like people like, it was like they were explaining to Tom Holland like, and these are these characters, and this is their relationship, and yeah.
I think the thing that bothered me the most was I don't know if it's like a more of like a broader trend in movies lately. I noticed they did this a bunch in Sinners last year, and that was like a gripe that I had with it. But the movie will keep cutting back to something that you've already seen whenever something is mentioned. And it's like, no, I remember that. But it's like, how many times does it cut to like sad Odysseus sitting on the steps of Troy? Anytime like they say the word Troy, you just see him sitting on the steps while everything's happening. It's like, it happens a few times. I feel like it even does it with the dog. Like, you remember that he has a dog, but I feel like every time like Argos is mentioned, they have to show like a 1 or 2 second clip to be like, hey, audio, like, you know, jingling the keys. Like, hey, do you remember this thing that you already saw? Remember it? Yeah. And then like they flash it. Like they did that with Sinners a bunch, where it's like I think it had to do with like Michael B. Jordan's like the son that he didn't have or something like that, or the kid that they had that died. But like they kept cutting back to that to like remind the audience, and I'm like, no, we get it. Like it's definitely treating the audience like I mean, you know, maybe it's they just are like, oh, no one has an attention span anymore, you know, so it's like we have to constantly remind them or else they'll get bored.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Well, wow, I didn't expect such Odyssey disdain, guys. I mean, given the blowing everything on the internet. Anyway, I still like. So, maybe this is a thing for later. Do you guys like Troy or the Odyssey? Because I found that I rated Troy lower, but I think I actually would rather rewatch it.
Again, I have a much more familiarity with Troy. You could say this is a nostalgic bias, but it's easily Troy for me. I definitely prefer Troy.
Even though
like 100%
the Odyssey has arguably 2, 3, 4 better scenes. Like the Circe scene to me is the best of both movies, or a couple of the maybe a monster scene or two, or an island scene or two. I think might be more interesting visually to me than anything.
I gotta say, I think the fights in Troy are pretty good. Like, I always think especially like the one-on-ones, like I really like the like Achilles versus Hector fight. I think it's like well choreographed, and it's like, you know, it's well done or whatever. I like the again, leaning into the soap opera nature of it. I like how like dramatized it is. Like him just like standing outside the walls of Troy and just screaming, Hector, Hector, just like over and over again.
I think he said that about 80 times. He was out there for about 15 minutes saying that as Hector gets prepared and talks to his dad, etc.
I know. I know. So yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe I can't think of too many that I would say like, is there any that made me go like, I'm sure as a kid, you know, I was like every time there was like a big fight scene, I was like, yeah, that's awesome. But like watching it now, was there any scenes that were like as cool as the Cersei scene in the Odyssey? I don't know, but like I still just think like as a whole, it's more entertaining. It's like, yeah, the Odyssey is probably like a better crafted movie, but Troy is more fun. It's more entertaining. And not that all movies have to be fun,
right,
but the Odyssey is not like I also don't think like it doesn't do other stuff. I don't know what I'm trying to get at. Like if a movie is not fun, it's still got to be like engaging, or like it's got to like tell you something or whatever. And I just don't really get that out of the Odyssey. And like, yeah, the Troy is stupid, but it's fun. What were you like smiling at, Nick?
Oh, just during that scene, when it's Hector and Achilles fighting, when Achilles takes his helmet off, when it cuts back to Eric Bana and he takes his helmet off, it is so obvious that it is a rubber helmet. It's great. It folds in a certain way where I'm like, oh, that is like, that came right off the props table and went on his head, because it is like, it is crazy how much of a rubber mask that is. I laughed very hard at that. I thought it was great.
I'm gonna pick on just if you're gonna pick on little things like that, which is not very fun. But my kids noticed this too, where Argos and he's a puppy. He's got floppy ears hanging down, and it cuts to him being an older dog, and he's got pointed ears up. Maybe I know nothing about dogs, but I'm not sure that there's dogs floppy ears.
Yeah, you know nothing about dogs. A lot of that happens with a lot of breeds.
Does it?
A lot of puppies have floppy ears.
I just figured
like corgis.
The continuity, but okay, that's a bummer.
Yeah,
I was sure. I have a stupid. I'm asking myself questions. Stupid question now. Who would win in a fight between Orlando Bloom and Brendan Gleeson?
Literally, like anybody in either of these movies could beat Orlando Bloom and Troy.
I settled on. It depends on how big the arena is. I think the bigger it is, then Brendan Gleeson's at a disadvantage cardio wise. And Orlando Bloom would run around him. But as it was, well, I don't know. I mean, Orlando Bloom did beat Brendan Gleeson in Troy. It happened.
No, Eric Bana did. Eric Bana stabs him.
Did I get that wrong?
He literally crawls on all fours and like is crying to his brother to help him, and then Brendan Gleeson is like, "Is this what?" Yeah, because he yells up at Helen. He's like, "Is this what you left me for?" And then he like tries to deliver the final blow, and then Eric Bana turns it on him and kills him. It's like Orlando Bloom, sure, he could run him out, but that'd be his only defense. Is like he's just got to hope that he dies from exhaustion, because he can't. It's like he can't even swing a fucking sword. So as soon as he'd go into attack, Brendan Gleeson would just have to like elbow drop him or something, and he'd be done. Like, I think like Diane Kruger could have beat Orlando Bloom. You know.
Why was Orlando Bloom like sort of hunky back in there? I just don't understand that.
I think they're riding the high off Lord of the Rings. I think it's
and
Sean
Pirates.
Bean and Pirates. I think that's literally it. It's this is like a hunky guy, and then they really like don't do anything with him.
No.
Except
There's
for
a lot of
just being
weird looking British guys that girls just love, like Benedict Cumberbatch and
Chloe had a cardboard cutout of Orlando Bloom, I think, from either Pirates or Lord of the Rings, but she had like a cardboard cutout of him. Like 2004, that was like peak Orlando Bloom. That's
Yeah, it definitely was, yeah.
And it was really funny that the only real action that he does at the end is when like they're kind of holding off that one section of like the Greek fighters coming in, and he just like starts doing like bow and arrow shit. And I'm like, oh yeah, they're like they're pressing the Legolas button.
It's
like, hey,
Helm's
remember
Deep.
that?
Yeah. Basically, is Helm's Deep, yeah, because the walled city gets seen.
I think of the two, I'm definitely going with the Odyssey. I think maybe it's because I watched the director's cut, but for a lot of this, as like dumb and entertaining as it was, I was like, it just felt like very generic of like movies of that time. Where I don't know, I guess I I feel like I was being very critical of the Odyssey. I did really enjoy it in the theater when I saw it. I just had like a few nitpicks that I guess are more broader film trends that I don't like, regarding like the constantly cutting back to things to like remind the audience, or like super overly expositionary like dialogue. That's like stuff that I don't really care for. But I mean, I was 100% like bought in by the spectacle and the scale and like the usage of the real locations. And like that was kind of like the selling point for me, where I don't know, I just liked it despite all those other things, definitely more than Troy, I guess.
It is impressive that he got real locations, real boat, on the boat, all that. Unbelievable.
And they shot it entirely with IMAX, and like there's like a handheld shot, so there's dudes lugging those things into the woods. Like I would be so tired. And like I saw some like behind the scenes stuff, and apparently the mags in IMAX cameras shoot for 3 minutes and then they need to be replaced. So it's like you're like doing all this stuff, and then you constantly have to like reset to like bring a huge cartridge out to like refill it.
And I do wonder if that did affect the acting to some degree. It probably had to. I'm not sure, but I wonder about that. I wonder if you guys also keep mentioning the IMAX. If you would have had a different experience, the one that I had, a small town movie theater where the bulbs dim. I sit in the same. I've been in the same. My small town theater has 5 screens. I've been in all 5 screens many times. I've seen the dumb Ridley Scott historical Gladiator 2 in the same theater I saw the Odyssey in. So I have those associations, and the subwoofer could not at all handle the bass, just crackle so badly.
Oh no!
And so then if you have that, you're probably, I don't know. I wonder if you would feel lesser about it or not. I always wonder if my experience, because of the theater I'm in, if I had the curved screen Cinemark thing and the luxury seating or the IMAX. I don't know. I think I can separate the experience from the movie, but to some extent it probably did.
I think I mostly can, because it's not like I like seeing stuff in the theaters, but it's not like I have to see a movie in the theaters to like know if it's like good or not or whatever. Like I get the full effect out of watching like movies on my phone as long as I'm paying attention. You know,
there's a
it
big
doesn't really
argument
matter
about
to
that.
me.
You have to see it, and it will change your experience. I think probably those of if you're younger, you can handle it.
Yeah. But like I said, it's cool. Like I definitely like, you know, if there's a movie that is coming out, you know, like this that I'm like was interested in, like I'll pay the extra money to see it on that 70 millimeter because it is cool, and it's like it is a unique thing. We're very lucky to have one so close to us.
Yeah.
So it's like I might as well take advantage of that situation. There sometimes I will, like if I see something in the theaters, there are some times where I like hold off on like giving it like a numbered rating, you know, because I'm like, I do need to give it time to see if I'm just like feeling feeling like a theater experience bump. But then sometimes I'll see one and I'll just be like, no, I know I like that, or no, I know I didn't like that. And so it depends sometimes.
Yeah, I'm 100% susceptible to the after theater glow. Like sometimes if like a rating of mine seems really high, there's at least probably a half star that's just like, I saw this in a theater, and that like clouds my judgment a little bit. I will fully admit that.
Well, I mean, you kind of said you weren't sure. What do you have a preference between the two, or are you just kind of like?
Well, look, I'd be neither, but
yeah,
I did rate the Odyssey. I mean, part of my problem, and it's not. I mean, Nick, you guys have different experiences. TJ's read the stuff, and Nick hasn't so much, and so then that does result in something different for an audience. I try to get away from it's a unique artwork for its time, so forget about the original. I still have a hard time with that, so I think I did. If I were going to rewatch one, I rewatched Troy. I think the Odyssey is a better movie, but I don't want to watch it again. I mean, there's not anything there. I didn't feel anything in it. I don't think if I watched it, I would feel anything. But most of Nolan's movies I've watched several times.
Same, yeah.
By the way, if you Nolan's adaptations, he always cuts out way too much for me. He takes something that is rich and thick, and then he chops out 50% of it or more. And most people don't know this. The Prestige, which is a cool movie, truly.
Mm-hmm.
But if you read the book, it is way better as an artwork. And Nolan only used the first half of the book. The spoiler at the end of the Prestige is only halfway through the book. There's more. So
really?
Yeah. The same with Oppenheimer. He only used just a small percentage of that the autobiography was based on. So I wonder if he should be doing book adaptations. But I probably shouldn't read the books that he's doing adaptations of. Yeah.
I do think the Odyssey would be a lot cooler if I didn't know like every in and out.
I think so. I think that's why people are responding to it. They've never seen anything like it. We don't have. So we're doing Troy here, sword and sandal epics. These things that were prominent, like even the teens and the 20s and the 50s. So many of these. There aren't very many anymore. So maybe it's more of a novelty, and people don't know very much about the time, place. So then get away with whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, blah blah blah. So I prefer Troy probably if I were gonna rewatch.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'll just watch all of the hype edits on TikTok of Troy. All the good parts. Someone will just clip those, and I'll just watch those over and over again, and then I'll basically get the same thing.
I know there's nothing in the Odyssey like Brian Cox's hairdo.
Yeah, yeah, sweet.
The one thing from the Odyssey that I have seen like breach containment is the bit of Robert Pattinson. I think this is after Odysseus shows back up, and I think it's after I think they're doing the bow contest to see okay, whoever's gonna marry me has to be able to string the bow, and there's a part where Robert Pattinson says, "Won't somebody get these beggars out of here?" And he kind of laughs and looks around for validation, and that has become sort of a meme on Twitter now, where it'll be when the barista flips the iPad over to me and wants a tip, and then won't somebody get these beggars out of here? So it's that's something that's kind of broken out a little bit. I think people are starting now to post the clip of John Leguizamo just throwing the dog off the cliff.
Oh my gosh.
Which was you say Nolan is humorless. I think that's like maybe I think Nolan was trying to be funny with that. I think John Leguizamo is kind of a good comedic actor, so I think he's just like he like looks at it, he's like, nah, this won't do it, and just tosses it off. I think John Leguizamo was supposed to be the comedic relief because there's another scene after Odysseus fights off all the other guys, and there's like a moment of silence, and he's like, did he win?
Oh yeah, because he's like blind. Yeah.
That's so like
true. that is kind of a yeah.
It was one of those like I sort of exhaled out of my nose, like not really a full laugh. It felt like a Marvel style joke in this, which kind of took me out of it a little bit. I'm like, oh, why are we doing like Avengers banter in this, like seemingly out of nowhere?
Yeah, if it's just a one though, yeah.
Yeah, it was yeah. That's like that was probably like after seeing the Odyssey, watching Troy, I was like, wait, because I'm like Brendan Gleeson. I'm like, he's in the Odyssey, so it's like he survives this, and then he just dies, and I'm like, does he like come back later? And then like the armies advance, and I'm like, well, even if he survived that stab wound, he's being trampled to death now, so there's like no way. And then and then like Rose Byrne stabs Agamemnon in the neck and kills him too, and I'm like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like I'm no like purist, I'm no like buff about the story, but I'm like, having watched the Odyssey, I'm like, both of those guys are in that. So like, what are we doing here?
Wow.
Maybe it like makes more sense thematically. Like it's more of like you get a better arc for Rose Byrne's character, that she kills the guy that like enslaved her and wanted to like turn her into like a weird sex slave or something. So I guess maybe it was more satisfying. And then you get the famous Achilles heel bit. And then I don't know. I think my only note was like Paris sucks so much ass.
Yes,
I hate him. Because he shoots the Achilles heel and Rose Byrne is like, no, stop. And then he's like, I'm going to shoot him like 5 more times. And then like, just I don't know.
Yeah.
I hate it. He was so terrible. I hate him.
He sucks the whole movie. He's like never redeemed. And yet it's like, yeah, we're supposed to be happy that it's basically like Romeo and Juliet, except like they live and everyone else dies instead of Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's just a moron the whole time. And like his brother tells him like, don't do anything stupid. We worked really hard to like in like their like first scene when they're like at Menelaus's place and they're like at that party or whatever, and he's like, don't do anything stupid. We spent a long time like brokering this peace. This is very important. And he's like, okay, sure. I'm gonna immediately like do the opposite of what you just said and do like the worst thing I could do. And and then like his brother dies for him. His father essentially dies for him. He like like ruins his entire city, and then he just gets away scot-free with the woman that he loves. Which does kind of muddy the ending, because up until that point in Troy, something that I another thing I wanted to bring up was that like that I like about it, like in a more not sort of tongue-in-cheeky dumb fun way, is that like I like the way that it portrays like you get how it like both sides is that war, where it's like there's kind of like nobody is like a clear cut, like it's not like black and white, like it's not like Agamemnon's a bad guy, Menelaus is a bad guy, but like Odysseus isn't necessarily like a bad guy. Achilles is gray, but he's like ultimately like he tries to save like Briseis and like get her out of the city, and like he dies a hero in a sense. And I kind of like that it's sort of like sort of not fully like playing like one side or the other of the field, and yet the ending with like having Orlando Bloom get away scot-free is like, is that what we're supposed to like be rooting for this whole time? Like this stupid, shitty, like crybaby character who like never listens and never does what he's told and gets everybody killed.
Wife stealer.
And what? Yeah.
Yeah, the moment where Brendan Gleeson is like, "You ran away. Is this what you ran away for?" I'm like, "Well, that's that's it. That's
it's fair. It's fair. Yeah.
Like he's convinced me."
And then I feel like you cut away to Diane Kruger, and her reaction is like, "Yeah, fuck, he's right. Like this is pathetic." Like she's like, "I got no defense for this."
She's like, "I'm in too deep. Someone needs to get me out of here." I did get a pretty good laugh out of. I was like, "Okay, we're getting near the end," and I'm like, "I know, like the Trojan horse is coming." Mm-hmm. But I did. The visual, I don't know. I'm gonna say visual gag. I don't think it was meant to be a gag, but the one guy was literally just like whittling a wooden horse. Oh, and Odysseus looks down and he's like, "Oh," and then smash cut. They're immediately building the horse. I was like, "Oh, okay. I guess that worked." Yeah. It's the type of visual storytelling that we should have gotten in the Odyssey in the scene where he sees the dog.
Sure, yeah.
You know, it's
yeah. Yeah, if it was the Odyssey, he would have been like, "Is that a horse you're carving? That's a good idea." Yeah, and in that sense, I like that like I wish that maybe they had. Because at that point, I kind of think that would have made that would kind of made me feel a lot better about the ending, like, despite Paris. And, like, the fact that they have Paris be the one that kills Achilles, who is basically, like, a superhuman in that movie. And he just because he's not paying attention, I guess, he gets the one up on him. Yeah, I mean, in the original story, that's not how it I'm pretty sure Paris dies before Achilles does. Like they all die, and obviously, yeah, the Odyssey Nolan one is more how it plays out. Like Helen does get brought back with Menelaus, and Agamemnon goes back and then immediately gets killed. So honestly, that's not too much different than his ending in Troy, because it is literally like Agamemnon wins, he goes home, and then he's killed immediately.
Well, so regarding like the I don't know if like metaphor is the right word, but like Achilles' heel is like a term. Uh-huh. Like and people refer to that as like hubris, like a weakness that is overlooked through like ego and hubris. And I feel like it doesn't really work as like, I don't know, I guess like the big reveal of like metaphor. Like going into Troy, not really knowing how the story goes, I was expecting it to be like Achilles is fighting someone and like just really like has him basically on the brink of death. And then maybe Achilles is like gloating and he's just send me your next one. And then in like a last ditch effort, so like the guy that he just like thinks that he killed reaches out and slashes his heel. Mm-hmm. And it's like supposed to be this moment where it's like Achilles thinks he's on top of the world, and then he gets cut down through like this one spot, and like you're supposed to be like, oh, okay, I get it that's why it's called that. But then in Troy, like the most bitch-made character shoots an arrow at him from a distance, and it's just like an attack of opportunity, because if it was a one-on-one fight, he would have destroyed him.
Yeah.
So like I feel like I don't know for something is because like the thing about these stories is that like there's so many like things that are now like colloquial in pop culture. Yeah. Trojan horse, siren song, Achilles heel. Like these are things that are almost like storytelling motifs that everyone sort of recognizes because they've been around for so long.
Or just
so
words.
I guess I really
like,
thought
their names or like things like just become like Odyssey
they're
itself.
Shorthand.
Is
I
just
know what you're
his
saying.
Name. It's yeah.
And so it's like I was really expecting that to be like his downfall in Troy was like Achilles would go down in a way that is befitting like why we call it that. It's like I don't know. I thought that was interesting that like that's the way that they did it, like this tragic, romantic gesture. Maybe that's what the movie's telling you is romance is stupid and it'll kill you if you're.
Well, that's I should say that is basically how it happens.
Oh, really? I mean, it's kind of the movie has that problem, doesn't it?
Actually, this movie rocks now. I understand it. Okay, actually, I changed my mind.
I mean, that is more or less how he dies, like in myth. It's just not Paris that does it. It is just kind of. So the fact that it's not like Homer coined the phrase Achilles' heel. It's just has popped up later on. So it's not like you can't point at like the story for not living up to like the thing that was developed hundreds of years later. And they don't. It is kind of funny because Troy leans away from. Troy is like way more ridiculous and melodramatic, and yet it's like, but this one's real. It's like there's no gods, there's no magic, there's no myth, and then the Odyssey was like more grounded Christopher Nolan tone, and yet there is like magic and gods and stuff like that. They play with it slightly in Troy with Achilles' mother Thetis, who is in myth. She's a Nereid or Nereid. I forget how it's pronounced. Like a water nymph. So she's like a demigod or whatever. And when he sees her, she's like in that little cove. So she's like in the water. And I was like, so they're kind of like playing that up. But yeah, in myth, it's like there is a more magical like reasoning for it. It's because when he was a baby, she dipped him in the river Styx, which like I guess made his body invincible. But when she did it, she was holding him by his ankle, so that was the one part that didn't get the the coverage. So that was like the one part of him that was like weak. So like literally in myth, it was like if somebody shot him, I guess in the neck, it would have just like bounced off or whatever. In a way, but in this they just have to play it more like no, he's just so good that nobody can touch him, and then it's just like it shoots him in the ankle, and like in myth it's like okay, that is a big deal because that's like the only way of breaking his like supernatural armor, and this is just like I mean that would hurt.
He gets up and immediately starts fighting too, so clearly I guess it because like if your Achilles tendon like gets severed, you're not getting up again. I don't think.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
He like gets up and he's just like, all right, let's go.
Maybe it's a case of like as long as that's still in there, it's still like supported, or it hasn't like. It's like taking the knife out is like it's like if you get stabbed in like an artery, don't take the knife out because that's what's gonna kill you. If you leave it in, then you can go to the hospital, I guess, and maybe get it fixed. But so it's like as long as the arrow's in there, he can still walk. If he took the arrow out, he'd just like what? Fall over himself. I know, buddy. Oh yeah. This is much more of like a set, like with how much of a bitch that Paris is in the movie. This is a much more satisfying end for him. So this is again before the sack of Troy, even. Before the Trojan horse and all that. Philoctetes shoots Paris with his poisoned arrows, grazing him on the hand and striking him above the groin. Paris, mortally wounded, tries to get help from his first wife, since he's already married, Oenon, who spurns him because of his affair with Helen. Paris passes away. Priam laments that he was his second best son.
Yeah.
And Helen curses the position. Yeah. And Helen curses the position he put her in. So that's much more fitting. That feels much more like appropriate for the character than just like letting him get away scot-free.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't understand the ending either. The more you talk about it, the more I'm puzzled by it. I can't try to fit it in the time period either. Like, why would Paris
Yeah.
be the choice to get? Yeah, I don't know.
They should have just all died, and then maybe you have Helen escape with the rest of the Trojans, because it's like she was innocent, so yeah, let her get away, but all the guys should die because it's all their fault. Who wants to go first?
I can go first just because I feel like I probably won't have as much to say like in my wrap up, but I guess for Troy, I will give it a light 6. There were definitely things about it that I liked, and I do think it in terms of its like scale, it was successful. Like a lot of the battle scenes, there's some brutal kills in this. Like the choreography, I think was pretty good. And yeah, Brian Cox, Brendan Gleeson, like I think all of like the leads, do a pretty good job, like kind of chewing scenery and being like memorable characters. Brad Pitt's accent is leaves a little to be desired, I will say. But yeah, overall, I don't know. Maybe the theatrical cut is more my speed. That is a great cat. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't have a white cat. That's awesome. I love
Sorry,
white cats.
he's just
No.
there. He is
That's-
rescued from
Wow.
the wild. Don't know how he didn't get eaten by the coyotes.
That's cool.
And then for the Odyssey, I think I would have rated it higher before our conversation, but it's kind of one of those things, yeah, where like now that I've gotten away from the 70 millimeter, the allure of like the film reels, I'm feeling like a fairly strong 7 for that. So I'm doing 6-7 for both of these movies.
Nice.
Yeah, the just the grandiosity and the scope and everything about it, I think is very captivating, and you can tell that Nolan really likes making movies. I don't know how much he likes writing characters. That seems to be the biggest weakness for me, was that like, yeah, it was lacking in that department of like any sort of characterization that felt emotional, or like kind of, or like you said, even with Odysseus just kind of being a sad sack in this movie, when it's like he's kind of like, a clever little charlatan. He's like a charming, he's like what Brad Pitt was in his notable movies, is sort of how Odysseus should have been in the Odyssey. Like, fallible and, definitely like human, but clever, maybe. So I think, that's kind of what brings it down for me, is just like the characterization. But everything else about it, like the scope and visuals, is pretty great. So that's where I'm at.
The Odyssey is, I don't know, like a 6. I don't, yeah. The more I think about it and talk about it, I don't like it as much. But I'll stick to that. I guess I was bored by it. The middle monster scenes are somewhat interesting. Actually, when I watched it, I thought maybe what would Robert Eggers do with all of these scenes? And I think probably Nolan got close to what he would do with Cersei's Island. Probably.
Sure, yeah.
That reminded me of Eggers somewhat. I thought Troy was. It got more boring for me as it went. Truth be told, I think it announced problems and then just kind of went towards where they were going eventually, more or less. So I'd probably give it a 5. I mean, I hate it. It was fine. Not unhappy I watched it, so I can't like say they were either of them I would recommend to other people. I had my 12-year-old ask, should I go to Odyssey? Can I go? Like, I don't know. You might be bored by it, or you might not like it. I mean, but I would know. I know he would like Clash of the Titans. Like, that's pretty obvious to me. And I don't know. Pick which either one. the old one or maybe the new one, which isn't that great in my opinion, but I wonder, because the ratings graph for Odyssey is amazing. I just looked at it. Have you seen on Letterboxd? Unbelievably, like the curve that goes like this, and so many 5-star ratings, averaging a 4.4. So
Interesting.
people must love it. And
oh yeah, wow.
Great.
Holy shit.
I can't believe it's that high. But
yeah, that's
Nolan
wild.
does get good ratings on there, for sure, if you click on all his movies. Not too unlike everything else
Sure.
It's better than most, but it's not unlike what he tends to do there. So I don't know if I'm just crazy or not. I mean, it's better than according to I'm sorry to interrupt. According to Letterboxd, it's better than Inception, Memento, Batman Begins. I just don't think so. I would rather watch this.
No. Memento's my favorite Nolan. Like, I love Memento. I don't know. The thing with Nolan is that he checks a lot of boxes where it's like he has this auteur quality, but he also makes very broadly appealing movies. Yeah. And it's like that thing where it's like a dumb guy's version of a smart movie sort of thing, where it's like it's like it appeals to like sort of everybody, where like you can intellectualize his movies if you want to, but then they also have this popcorn flick quality to them. So it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, he casts a wide net, and I think just like his obsession with craft elevates it out of just being like a broad popcorn movie.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Then there's also always a skew towards, like, you know, when new movies come out, like, I'm in a year, it'll maybe like level. I'm not saying that it's gonna like drop off a cliff.
Once this
but,
hits
you know,
streaming, I bet once this hits streaming, it'll skew down.
Oh, true. Yeah. I think the longer movies are out, the more their ratings tend to like kind of settle into typically lower.
Yeah,
than
wasn't The Dark Knight like the number one on the IMDb like top 250 movies of all time? When it came out, it was beating out The Shawshank Redemption, like The Godfather, like it was like Lawrence of Arabia. It was like number one.
It's still number
sure
3.
It's still up
number
there.
3 though. It's
number 3.
That's crazy.
Inception is 14 and Interstellar is 17.
Oh my
on
god.
IMDb.
Damn.
Well, all right.
I mean, I can't complain too much. I mean, I probably have.
The Prestige is number 42. Oh my gosh. Odyssey is 55 on IMDb right now.
That's crazy to have so many of your movies like in that echelon.
Memento 59. Sorry to interrupt.
Wow.
I just list off 8 movies in the top 60. The Dark Knight Rises is 77. This doesn't stop. Oh my gosh.
Wow, and I feel like The Dark Knight Rises is like not nearly as well. At least at the time, I feel like I remember people like didn't like that one nearly as much as, definitely not as much as The Dark Knight. So I'm kind of surprised.
Doing Bane voice, I think, was fun from The Dark Knight Rises, but you got that singular Heath Ledger performance in The Dark Knight. That's like what makes that movie.
Oh yeah. And then for me, Troy. I honestly want to watch theatrical again, because like I said, I do think that despite me like liking the movie, I feel like I would like the shorter version still, because just that it's 3 and some change. It's 3.25 hours, the extended one, so it's a lot. So I'm judging this based on this viewing, and I'm going with like a decent solid 7 for it. Like in my head, I think before I watched it again, I had it at like an 8, I'm like, maybe if I watch the theatrical cut again, maybe it could get up there, but maybe not. Like, I'm also, like, not surprised that this movie didn't, like, click for me the same way it did when I was, like, 12 years old, you know? But yeah, it's still fun. Regardless of if they're like great performances, I like the big cast for the most part. Hate Paris, but I enjoy everyone else, especially the villainous characters. Good fights, good scale, you know. But then yeah, the ending is a little muddy for me. Leaves me not with like the best taste in my mouth, I guess. And then the Odyssey I had at a 6, at a 3-star on Letterboxd. I kind of think I'm gonna bump it down to a 5 because I just realized that like I'm just not. Yeah, after like I said, after I kind of said it before that I was kind of feeling a little more lukewarm on it, just to like, yeah, there's some key scenes like Cersei scene that's really cool. But maybe some other ones we mentioned, I don't know. Just everything else just falls so flat. I don't think I feel like the Scylla and Charybdis is another one that's just so glossed over and it's so quick and it's just like, oh, I guess it's done now. And like the scene where they go to like the giant, I don't know. My guess, the only thing I could think of was that like the guys in like the 10-foot tall guys in like the silver armor. The only thing I could think of is like, are those supposed to be like the Laestrygonians? Because they're in the poem, they're like giant folk who like they're like cannibals. But I'm like, I don't think that's a thing where they go to. I
think he just made up a visual counter.
It could have just been that, yeah. And which makes it weird because that's like the most Monty Python runaway like stop of the entire movie. Like they literally they walk into the forest and they're like, oh, there's a person there, and then they scream and then they get fucked up by these guys and then they run back to their ship. And I was just like, what the fuck was the point of that? Like, if it was the visuals, it's like, do better then. If you're gonna have this like 5-minute segue because you want to show off these like tall guys, do something more interesting with it. I'm sorry, that did not justify this pit stop in my eyes. Especially since that might have been like the only like fully like original, unless it was supposed to be the Laestrygonians. Like the only original stop. I know, it's just so weird. So yeah, anyways, 5 for that one because yeah, I just kind of realized it. And it's long. It's too long. It's too long for its own good. This was such a weird duo. I was like, oh yeah, Troy and then the Odyssey. It's like they're sequels, but it's like, and not only does one again lean into the mythology and like the gods and all that, and the other one doesn't, but also like Nick was mentioning, like the Odyssey completely, I can't say retcons because it wasn't like this is a sequel to the 2004 movie Troy, but like it doesn't make sense as a sequel because like characters die in one that are alive in this one and like vice versa or whatever. There was one last thing that I wanted to share. One last bit of trivia that I thought was really interesting about Troy was that when it kind of, I think it changed hands a little bit with like directors at the time, and then it landed on Wolfgang Petersen, and then they started developing it with him, and then he bailed to go work on a Batman versus Superman, obviously not the one that came out like 10 years later with Zack Snyder, but he went to go work on a Batman versus Superman movie, and they then gave Troy to one Christopher Nolan. So Christopher Nolan was going to make Troy, but then Batman versus Superman fell through, and so Wolfgang Petersen came back. He had a lot more pull at the time than Christopher Nolan, obviously. So he came back, took the project, and as a consolation prize, they gave Christopher Nolan Batman Begins. And
Whoa,
Isn't that crazy?
That's...
Just like that, not Batman Begins, but then, the sequel, he just makes one of the, as a consolation prize, he, in a way, makes like one of the most successful movies of all time.
And essentially like sparks his career.
Yeah.
I mean, Memento was good and was following, I think it was Memento and Insomnia.
Following was
Memento.
Before. Yep.
Yes.
And then
Insomnia. And then Batman Begins.
Yeah. I think that's it. I don't think there's any. I think Batman Begins is number 4. Yeah.
He wasn't a known director at that.
Right. He was well liked in like the indie circles or whatever, especially for Memento. But yeah, Begins, and then obviously Dark Knight really put him on the map. And then and now he kind of, in a way, he got to make his Troy movie because he does put a lot of that into here.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. Thanks again for coming on, Josh.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Always
good
like
to be forced to watch this movie.
Well, yeah.
I don't think I would have done it otherwise, but it got me to think. I actually, this probably should have said this earlier. Wolfgang Peterson, I owe him a lot because Neverending Story was the movie for me when I was a kid. I watched it endless. So no matter what, I owe him something, I suppose, or fill a debt to him, or like something like that. Probably should watch all the rest of his movies because I think there's probably 2 or 3 I haven't seen.
So, our next movie for the next episode is from 2002, directed by Fernando Merrier. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. City of God.
Oh my gosh, that's not a dud.
No. We're not doing. No.
You're not doing a dud, huh?
No.
Okay.
No, we got a couple episodes before we're doing a dud. This is a movie that I saw when I was way too young. I saw my mom rented it maybe off of Netflix, like when it first came to video, and I don't know if she fell asleep or what, but I watched the whole thing. I remember that. And it's not a movie to show kids.
It's not a kid. No, right.
Yeah.
About kids, but not for kids.
Yeah. Yeah. But cool. I've wanted to rewatch this one for a while, which is why I put it in the cup. So watch City of God before the next episode if you don't want to be spoiled for it. These episodes come out on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. EST on Spotify. Oh, I did it backwards. YouTube in video form, as well as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more in audio form. We also have social pages on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Josh, thank you again for coming on the show. Do you want to plug yourself? You're like an honorary extra co-host now, so you
Letterboxd, Substack. That's all I do.
Yeah. We'll link him in the description. We usually do with we always do with our guests, so we'll have that in there. So, yeah. And with all that said, I have one prepared for this one. I am here. I'll pull from the Odyssey for my thing. I'll be like, I'm recording right now. This is a podcast that I am doing. I am TJ. I am a co-host, and this is how the characters in the Odyssey speak. And
okay.
That's what I was going for. And with me as always.
As always, I am. I'm your Achilles heel. And if you hurt me, the whole thing falls apart. So I guess that's where I'm going. And I'm Nick, and with us, as always,
Josh Matthews, and I hope to have Brian Cox's hairdo in Troy one day.
Oh yes!
After visiting the Turkey and getting implants, that'll be.
Yeah.
Dang it. Man.
You're gonna get some pigtails and like the little middle part. Oh yeah.
Man, if we were prepared for this, we could have you could have been him. I could have had an Sean Bean like perm. Nick could have had, I don't know, Nick could have been
I would have closed my eyes and put an eye up here. I would have been the Cyclops.
Oh. Or you could have the Paris Hector like Jerry.
You can have AI do that.
Yeah. I'll put a filter on.